Welcome to episode number 76 of the Voices of Boyle. I'm delighted to be joined by Seamie Carr for this one, a true Boyle native whose stories will transport you back to the town's lively days of the 1980s and 90s. From flying down hills on car bonnets and staging epic war games in the pleasure grounds, to marbles, conkers and Halloween penny bangers, Seamie paints a vivid picture of a childhood full of adventure and community spirit. Seamie chats about his family history, including tales of his father's time in America and running the legendary Carr's pub here in Boyle, to Seamie's own journey across the Atlantic, where he studied motorcycle mechanics before finding his way back to Boyle. This one's packed with nostalgia, local legends and a real love for the town. So let's get straight into it, and I hope you enjoy it. Good man, Seamie. Welcome to the Voices of Boyle. How are you?
How are you, Carla? How's things?
Good. Glad to have you on, Seamie. I've been looking forward to this one for a while.
Yeah, same as that.
We're both of similar age. I think you're a year older than me.
Yeah, you were a year behind me in school, so
yeah. So we have a similar kind of timeline of our recollection of Boyle back in the 80s and 90s. So I always like to start, Seamie, bringing people back to the start. So let's bring it back to the 80s. What's some of your earliest memories of growing up in Boyle?
I was only thinking about this the other day, actually, when I was going out to Stewart's to get some fuel. But we used to basically slide down the hill in Stewart's Field there. I used to get the old shelving out of Nair factory. It used to be bits of metal, and you just bend it, and then when there was snow, you just slid down the hill. And one particular time, we got a car bonnet. There was two or three of us on it, and hurtling down the hill. There was a small little pond at the bottom. We all had to roll off. But yeah, that was one of my earliest memories, I suppose.
Yeah.
Being brought up with my sisters and some of the kids from the street as well. You know, we'd be up there all day sledding down the hill.
It's looking back on them days, like when I say it to myself, the 80s, you think, actually, that's only 20 years ago.
Oh, that's mad.
It's mad, isn't it, how quick time goes? And how would you describe Boyle then? Back in your youthful days, the 80s, the 90s, if you could sum up in a couple of words, how would you describe it?
Boyle was vibrant. It was a busy town, great town to grow up in. There was always something to be at. You know, there was no, I suppose, sounding old now altogether, but there was no technology then. I suppose, like phones and video games and that kind of stuff. So you'd always hear it, like you leave the house in the morning and then you just go home in the evening. That's it, or go home and get fed and out again,
rolling around in the mud
and climbing trees and all that kind of stuff.
That's right. And for me, we would have obviously hung around together. Yourself, Richter, Nicola Shannon, Paul O'Farrell, Conor and Micheál Boyle.
Yeah,
I remember two kind of vivid memories for me in my kind of early teenage years would have been, well, three actually. There would have been the war games in pleasure grounds.
Oh, yeah.
Which anyone that doesn't know what they were, we were basically running around the pleasure grounds thinking we were Arnold Schwarzenegger from Commando or something.
That's right,
with sticks as guns.
Yeah.
And if you were killed, you got up miraculously and you were gone like a spawning in a game. You were back somewhere else.
That's right.
Chasing each other.
That's right.
The ninjas.
The ninjas.
The ninjas.
That was yourself and Nick and Paul, I think, wasn't it?
There was. I don't know why you weren't involved in that. You knew something, Seamie. We didn't, but we were the ones. We'd go up the Green Street with balaclavas on.
That's right, the Ninja Club.
The Ninja Club.
Yeah.
And we'd be just knocking on doors and running and like just mad.
Innocent stuff altogether.
You'd be thrown to jail today if you did it.
Probably, yeah, it's true. We're right, actually. Yeah.
And then Halloween.
Halloween
I definitely remember you during Halloween because no more than ourselves, you were always preparing for weeks with penny bangers.
Penny bangers, yeah. I used to get the caps from Christy Wins, and there was the little trick where you bend the cap over in half and you wrap it around the penny and then you put sellotape on it. And depending on how much sellotape you put on it, determines how much smoke you're going to get out of it.
Was that it?
That was it, yeah.
Do you remember Paul O'Farrell one year was making the penny bangers outside Shannon's house, and he was wrapping the sellotape, and if Paul's listening to this, he'll remember it well. He was wrapping the sellotape around the coin, but the coin blew in his hand.
I vaguely remember that, and he burnt the top of his fingers, didn't he?
It did burn the top.
That's right.
I always remember that though. They were great they were great days though. Like innocent, as you said, technology hadn't hit us.
Hadn't hit us at that stage, like, so yeah, it would have been just, I suppose, I remember around that time as well, it would have been building a lot of huts and things like that. You'd get pallets from wherever you could, and
back of Shannon's, remember, because that would have gone down to the back of, kind of connected almost nearly to the back of your house, wouldn't it?
that was directly, so it was like a, I suppose, like an L shape nearly with the way our gardens were. So my garden would have been backed onto Shannon's garden, and as soon as I was old enough, I could swing the leg over the fence and go down in Shannon's, you know. So Shannon's was like a second home.
Yeah. And do you remember then out the back of Shannon's we used to play the marbles, and we had all these kind of crazy courses done up. Well, I remember Nicky had loads of courses with these marbles, and we were trying to kind of
flick them
around these like blocks and bricks and pieces of wood. Yeah, I don't know what year that would have been.
Marbles was big. I remember the time we were in boys' school, and I remember, I think I was in 4th or 5th class, and I remember in 6th class they used to have like prefects.
Yes,
and there was a couple of windows that were getting, I think it was over a period of 3 or 4 weeks, a lot of windows got damaged, cracked, and some prefects were sent out for a shakedown.
Okay.
On the playground, and if you had, remember the big crystal thaws, the big massive ones, if you had anything like that at all, they were taking it off. There was fellas stuffing them down their socks and down their runners and trying to hide them, and yeah, a bit of
the marbles were a big pastime,
massive.
Even we used to go over to Tarman and then over to Churchview playing. I remember Danny and Tony Shanley were big into the marbles.
That's right, yeah.
And it was great. You had kids out playing on the street.
Yeah.
You don't see that anymore.
Yeah. Marbles, tip the can, werewolf.
Hopscotch, werewolf.
Werewolf was another one then as well.
That's right.
Remember we used to play Murder Tig down in the...
What was Murder Tig?
Down the pleasure ground. So Murder Tig was basically like... You'd be kind of running for your life. If you got caught, you'd be getting a dead arm or something like that.
Is that what it... That's right, okay.
So that was your incentive to keep going.
Jeez, yeah. It's... And back then, Seamie, everyone has their kind of recollection of characters in the town that they remember. For me, it would have been the likes of Forty Coats.
Of course, yeah.
You know, who would have been kind of standout characters of your kind of youthful days back then?
It would have had a lot of characters coming into the pub at the time. So it would have had John Mahan. John Mahan was a tailor in town here.
Used to call him Greenans, wasn't it?
I think it's beside Greenans, yeah. Used to call himself Hurricane Higgins.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Nothing after the snooker player?
He named himself after the snooker player. Hurricane Higgins. So I had many a game of pool with him now.
Was he good?
He was good, yeah. He was good. If you got him on a good day, you wouldn't beat him. He's very good. And then, of course, you had Noel Conroy. You had Sonny Regan, Francie and Matty Daly. Willie, I remember Willie Daly. If you were in the pub, a music session might break out of nowhere, and Willie would have the spoons, and he's a great man on the spoons. And he's one of the first. He showed me my first knots for tying hooks onto fishing lines, because Willie was a good fisherman as well. He'd be out fly fishing on the river, you know.
That was another, just when you were talking there, I thought you were going to say something about, remember conkers as well?
Conkers, yeah.
That's, conkers. I remember trying to varnish the conkers, thinking
to make it harder.
Yeah, and they wouldn't crack.
Yeah.
There's probably people listening to this going like, what are they on?
What are they on about?
But, you know, isn't it crazy?
That was around autumn time of the year as well.
It was, yeah. There was a special, and I do remember Danny and Tony Shanley again, just like the marbles.
Yeah.
They were the fellas to beat with the conkers.
Probably, the boys probably had some kind of hardener on them anyway.
They had something on them, and they weren't easily beaten when it came to the conkers.
No.
Hot air balloons.
Yeah.
They came to Boyle first in 89.
89, yeah.
Yeah, and they stayed, I think it was 3 or 4 years, maybe 5 years. I'm not sure the date, but there was definitely that period of from 1989 to I think 1993 or 4. But what's your recollections of the hot air balloons?
I remember to be exciting. I think I was in secondary school at that stage, and you'd be in the classroom in the morning and you'd be looking out the window and then you just see the hot air balloons just flying by in the distance. But there was great excitement to get out, finish school on time, and get out as far as the Forest Park and see the hot air balloons going up again. If you were lucky, you might get a spin in the hot air balloon.
Very lucky.
I never got a spin on it now, but it was nice just to see them setting up and how they done their thing to get them going off the ground, you know.
And you heard they're coming back again this year. Did you?
I heard that, right? Yeah, looking forward to that.
The actual, like, the championships again.
Yeah, that's great.
So that's a major little coup for the town.
It'd be great if it stayed around for a few years again.
Wouldn't it? Because it was in Burr, I think, for the last X amount of years. It's a long time up in Burr and Offaly.
Yeah.
So fair play to Dermot.
Dermot and the team out in...
Yes, in Lockheed. They got it together, and it's great. I think it'll be
a massive
huge
draw.
Attraction.
Yeah.
Bring back the nostalgia of the late 80s, early 90s.
Yeah. Great.
Class.
And it's great for the kids as well who haven't seen them, you know, before.
Yeah, exactly. Because we all remember our generation.
Yeah.
And as you are a parent, you'll tell your young fella about
the hot air balloons
but he'll get to witness it.
Yeah.
You know, hopefully. So
my wife Anne-Marie loves hot air balloons.
Does she remember as well? That she would remember back in those days?
She'd remember them as well, but she loves them as well, so she's delighted now.
And I think it's for a whole week that it's going to be out there. So it'll be just excellent for the town though. King House.
Yes.
We would have played in there many times. I think
did we play in it when where it used to be a coal store.
There was actually, it was to the around where the library is now. I think it was. Now I might be, but it was beside McNamara's anyway.
That's right. I think it might be McNamara's that had it as a store.
There was. I remember. No, I can't. I remember hearing it. I can't remember ever seeing it. But there was a coal depot there or something. Definitely.
Yeah.
Maybe someone listening might know better. But I do remember playing with like Sir Richard, yourself, Connor, and Mihal, Boyle, and back then the army barracks, or it was still the remnants of that still there.
That's right, yeah.
And I used to be terrified going into King House though, because it was dilapidated.
Yeah.
And I remember, I don't know, I think Richard was always on about the Green Lady.
Oh, yeah.
I think everyone of our generation.
We were all, like, you'd always be weary walking by King House at night, because you'd be looking up thinking, is the Green Lady looking at you?
They're terrified of
it.
You know, but they were great days. And for me personally, my favourite would have been the Gala Festival.
Oh, without a doubt.
So that's, I'm sure you've had many recollections from them days as well.
You'd have the five-a-side soccer and a summer's evening, and then the wall would be lined with people, and even inside in the pleasure grounds, it'd be just like a ring of people standing around the pitch, just watching the games going on. And then the game's going on, but there'd be a few of us running around the place, I suppose, playing Tig or whatever we were playing, trying to catch each other, and running in through streams and getting covered in water and all that kind of stuff, you know. So
it was 4 and 5 deep on that wall.
There was, without a doubt, yeah.
And some of the best days of my youth, definitely I can remember, were the Gala Festival days. And do you have any standout memories as well, Seamie, from the music festivals as well that used to be back? I know the Gala Festival was a kind of musical festival in itself, but was there any? Can you remember any of the music that used to be on the Crescent or downtown? You know, there used to be the big trailer.
That's right, yeah. And they used to change the trailer every 2 nights or something like that. They'd have it in a different location in the town. So if it was going on for the week, it could be up in the Crescent for a night, and then 2 nights later, it could be down on Patrick Street. I have a vague recollection of them.
Yeah, there was. It's something I know. Aaron and the boys from Madam was there a couple of years ago, tried to get something going again. It's just a different era, I suppose. You'll never get the crowds. Like, I mean, remember the crowds back then?
That was, the streets would be packed and the pubs would be packed as well. But like, fair play to the lads for trying to get something going.
In this day and age, it's very difficult. I think,
it's hard. It's a different scene altogether compared to years ago.
Trying to ignite a kind of a quench fire in a way.
Exactly.
You know, it was there once, and it's hard to get it back.
It's hard to get it back again. Yeah.
School.
Yes.
What did you think of that? St. Mary's particularly.
St. Mary's, St. Mary's was definitely an experience. I know St. Mary's is good crack. There was met a lot of good friends up there as well. teachers were good as well. You know,
They were.
a lot of the teachers. I ran into Tom Callahan there.
Did you?
Only probably about 2 weeks ago. Just had a bit of a chat with him, you know. So it's nice to see him still out and about, you know. But
Yeah.
Tom was a gent. He's a great man. Taught us woodwork and mechanical drawing. And
did he do mechanical drawing?
He done mechanical drawing up. I think it was up as far as junior cert. He done mechanical drawing.
I remember it was Tom Colleran that taught me mechanical drawing.
Oh, Tom, yeah.
And I was no good at them subjects, so I hated them subjects.
Yeah.
You know, I just couldn't grasp them at all. But it's them teachers were you know, there was good crack, as you said. School was good crack then.
It was good crack.
You know, things have changed dramatically, as you know. But maybe for the better or worse, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I know at the time, like if I suppose if you stepped out of line, like you could easily get a clip fairly handy, you know. Yeah. So, I suppose looking back, I don't know, probably wasn't a bad thing at times. So.
No. There was more like authority in a way, and you had, I think, as young fellas, we had more respect, I think, for our elders. You'd be blackguarding and that, but that was it.
Yeah, but you knew when to kind of draw the line.
Exactly.
As well,
yeah, and that's a big thing. You were in the Scouts.
I was in the Scouts.
I was in the Scouts as well. I do remember, yeah. And then you went on to be you took a more of a role then later on, a few years later, did you?
I would have been patrol leader. So I think I was only patrol leader for probably I think it was 6 or 7 months, and then I kind of left then after that. Like, but I thoroughly enjoyed Scouts. Started off in Cubs. Probably when I was about 8, I'd say, and then progressed on to the first Roscommon. You know, to be the first.
Oh yes,
first and the 11th Roscommon. So first Roscommon, Scouts, and thoroughly enjoyed camping and hiking and all that kind of stuff. And there was a great crew of leaders at that stage.
Do you ever remember Mary Sweeney over the road here? She was great at the storytelling about ghost stories.
I remember Mary, yeah.
She had some way of telling stories. We used to be scared of our lives.
You'd be terrified nearly going to bed at night. Like.
Oh yeah, and as you said, you were camping, so you were in the middle of a forest. I don't know where it was.
Yeah.
I know we went down to Ballintrillick, down past Sligo.
Ballintrillick. Do you remember Ballintrillick? They used to have the story. Someone had the story of a headless horseman.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. The headless horseman. Oh, I'd be terrified.
I think one of the lads was acting the blackguard. He wrote a letter to another guy saying that he was the headless horseman. And he was gonna get him that night. And the poor young fella didn't sleep at all. I don't think he was terrified.
Ah, yeah. But you're back then, like, was that the Cubs or the Scouts?
That was.
I'm not sure.
I think that was the Scouts. I think. I think it was the Scouts. Now, I remember it was like a hall, and they had a stage on it, but they had bunk beds on it as well.
Right.
And Jace Medlin, you know, a friend of mine, he was on the top bunk, and I was sleeping right on the ground, you know, where people would normally sit with those chairs there. And I woke up in the morning, and he was lying across me. He'd fallen off the top bunk, rolled off, and was lying in the. I think it was myself and Damien Murray, maybe. Yeah. Anyway, he didn't wake from his sleep, so.
And have you any memorable stories or memories from your time in the Scouts, apart from that one, maybe?
Yeah, I remember we were doing the regional. I think we were doing the regional competition out in Lougheed at the time, and there was a few of us. And of course, when you're doing the regional competition, you're being scored on different things you do during the weekend. And one of them was to do like bushcraft, where you have to make a table and make benches and that kind of stuff. But we had to prepare a meal then. I think it was stew. And there was a guy, I can't recall his name. I think he was up from around Lanesborough. Joe, I think was his name was. But we were in the middle of making the stew, and the handle fell off the top of the pot, and the screw went down into the stew. And we were all sitting around talking into this, and I was thinking, hopefully he doesn't bite on it. But
take the tooth out of your head.
Take the tooth out of your head. But one of the boys opposite me, I could see him wincing. He bit straight down on top of it. But yeah, that was funny.
Christ. So yeah. I want to get into a bit about the obviously Carr's pub, famous pub in town over the years.
Of course, yeah.
But before that, your dad, he went to America back in the day.
Yeah, he went to America in I think it was, let me just see now of it. Yeah, so he told me he went to January 11th, 1958. He sailed from Cove, and his cousin Michael Gallagher actually brought him down to Cork, and he sailed from there. I think it took something like 10 or 11 days he went over on the boat, but he said it was great crack because there was bands on every night and everything like that. There was great entertainment on the boat. So when he got off the far side, then his uncle met him the far side, and his cousin Peter. So initially what had happened is his uncle sent a letter back to his dad his dad's from Kilcar in Donegal. So his uncle sent a letter back saying, listen, does any of the young fellas want to come over to America? Send them over. So Dad decided he'd go. So,
and he went over, and did he stay over there long?
Oh, he was over there. He was in 13 years over there. So he initially went over to his uncle, and he worked in the bar business for a while, and then he moved on to working in the meat business. Actually, like those big meat plants that.
Kind of like Bala had, was it, or something?
Kind of something like that, yeah, with the process, the meat. So he got friendly with a guy, Stephen Walsh was his name. But Stephen was from Connemara. He got on really well with him. So Dad seen a pub coming up in Brooklyn, and he says, listen, the two of us we can make a go of this. So they decided they were going to buy the pub in Brooklyn. So they had that pub for a few years out there. But
so they did have a pub out there?
They did have a pub, yeah.
Ah, brilliant.
It was called the Tumble Inn. He says, you walk in, but you tumble out. So,
yeah. yeah.
But he enjoyed it thoroughly. Like he'd said the pub was 50 foot long, and he said doing a 12-hour shift, you'd be tired from the day, or 12 hours of working. They used to get a lot of construction workers in from Norway and Sweden. They used to come into them all the time. The guys Dad and Stephen would have a safe in the back, and they had cash there. The guys used to come in on a Friday evening and cash their checks, and But if you got him on a good day now, he'd reminisce about that, and he'd talk for a good while about it.
So he stayed there. He stayed in the States for 13 years.
13 years, and he came back then.
And did he ever go back? Or to visit even? Did he go back?
He went back to visit at one stage, yeah. So he went over and he met Stephen. Yeah, it's actually, I think it was a year or two after he retired.
Okay.
He went back and he met up with Stephen, and he had a few beers. Yeah, he came back. He came back in 1970, I think it was. Was it 1970? And when he did come back, there was a bank strike. It was on for 6 months, so he had to alternate between Kilcar in Donegal and Kilmaine, where my mother's from, because there was no money coming over. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
so that was it. So, then he bought a pub in Killybegs and stayed there. I think it was only for a year he stayed there. And I don't think Mum was too happy about staying in Killybegs, because she thought some of us might grow up and maybe go on the boats. She wasn't too happy about that. So he said he just seen a pub for sale in Boyle, and as he said, as he'd often say himself, he just chanced it. So he came down to Boyle. That was 1972. He came into Boyle.
And where's your mum from originally?
She's from Kilmaine.
Kilmaine. Sorry, you said that. Yeah, Kilmaine.
Outside Ballinrobe in Mayo.
So they just saw that the now known as Carr's pub was available in Boyle.
Yeah.
And it says we'll go down there and set up shop.
I think it was Divines before that. So he had that for a year or two. He went to Roscommon then for a year. He was a butcher up there. I think it was a year or two he was up there. And then he came back again to Boyle, and that's where he stayed until he retired.
Okay. So obviously you were born in probably like myself, the late 70s.
Yeah.
And what would have been your earliest memory then of pub life? Because like myself, and one thing we don't have anymore, or not at least as we used to back in those days, families used to live above or behind the business they had in town.
Yeah.
So for us in the chipper, you in the pub,
of course, yeah,
you don't get the residential aspect of it now. No one lives in the business.
They're separated from it.
Yeah. So what would have been your earliest memory, Seamie, from living in a kind of a pub environment back in your youth days?
I remember it being busy, always busy, but of course the town was doing well at that stage. Like you had Candles in Patrick Street, you had Nair Factory, you had Stewart's, Feely's. The town was booming at that stage, but music would have been a big thing in the pub. There was always music on. There was always impromptu music sessions, or the jukebox was always going.
You had a jukebox. People fighting over to see who gets to play the next song.
Exactly, yeah.
That actually didn't stop, I think, until, well, I think if any pub that has it now probably still have it on, but that was always a big thing.
It was a big thing, yeah.
And I always remember pool and darts.
Oh, that was massive as well, yeah.
My dad used to love playing the pool and the darts. Right, yeah. So he used to always love going down to Carr's. Like he'd be down there, and I I only remember one kind of memory from the pub. Obviously, I was too young to be drinking, but it was Martin Murphy was playing dad in pool or something. That's what I can just remember. And there was a load of people around it. There was some competition on.
Yeah.
But I just have that vague memory of Martin. And Martin was only being a young fella back then as well.
Yeah.
But so obviously you said there from the pub then you would have seen a few different characters over the years coming in.
Yeah.
To the pub. And is there any funny stories that you can repeat?
Trying to think of any funny stories. Can't write it down. I know it was I won't repeat his name now, but there was a guy in the pub one evening, and this is what my dad was telling me anyway. There was a guy in the pub one evening, and he came in on a Saturday evening, and he had his suit on, and he was all proud, you know, he was looking sharp. And another guy, I think he was working down in the mill, and he was covered in flour or dust, and he just came in and purpose they were dancing, and he just rubbed up against them. You know? There was another one then where another gentleman, we'll say, went up to the local shop. Because there was shops, the small shops all over the place at that stage. Like on Patrick Street, you had Lena McDermott's, and then up past that, then you had Mrs. McLaughlin's then. But this gentleman went up to the shop, and he got half a dozen eggs, and there was a bit of dancing going on in the pub again, and this guy must be wearing a suit jacket or something like that, but he got the eggs and dropped them down to the pocket and smacked it. So yeah, there was a bit of a dirty trick, I suppose, you know.
And did you ever work or help out in the pub?
I did, yeah.
You did, yeah.
Yeah, so I was 18, I suppose, when the pub finished up, but previous to that, if it was busy on a Friday or Saturday night, or even, you know, you might have around Easter or Christmas, I might be inside watching telly, but you'd be drafted out. To
how did you find that? You know, dealing with public in that kind of with drink involved, it can be a different experience.
It can be, but like it was busy. On certain nights, it could be 2 or 3 deep at the bar, and you're just kind of running behind the bar trying to throw the drink out as quick as you can, I suppose, you know.
And just getting back to the darts, I suppose that was a big thing in the pub. Who were the standout darts players? Can you remember of that era? Is there anyone that you know? I can't remember apart from Dad playing and a few others.
I think Joe Ford, Tony Regan. I think Micheál Regan used to play as well.
I think they still play down in Creighton's now, don't they? Some of them.
They play on I think Rish was
Thursday
they play on Thursday night, yeah. But I think darts was massive. I think was it around the winter time of the year they used to have like a darts tournament on, and it could be in a different pub. You know, most weeks in the town. Of course, you had loads of pubs at that stage.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. How many pubs?
I think when Dad came down, there was something like 30 pubs.
Yeah, I always tell people that there used to be at one stage that I can remember, I think was like something like 25 or 26 pubs.
I think I remember something like that number as well, yeah.
But there was always then there was 32, one for every county in Ireland.
Yeah, that's right.
Depending on where you chop up Ireland, I suppose.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
How did the pub scene then change that you can remember over the years that even you were in business? Did you see any major changes, Seamie?
I suppose the biggest thing now is that people are staying, especially since COVID and stuff like that, people aren't inclined to go out as much, or there seems to be a lot of people maybe drinking at home, or even they're just having a few drinks at home and then later coming into town for maybe a few just to do a bit of socialising. But the whole thing of drinking all day, or, you know, spending your full night in the pub seems to be, a lot of it seems to be gone.
When did the pub close?
It closed in 96.
96.
Yeah, so I was it closed the start of September, because I was actually down in Foss. I was going out to Foss in Waterford. I was doing my first phase of training, which would be 5 months, and Dad dropped me down. So he closed then towards the end of August, and the next weekend I came home. Then we were living in Abbeytown, so that was a bit weird.
I'd say a big change.
It was, yeah, a big change. So
and of course the building is no longer there.
Building was no longer there, which is it's fairly sad to see.
Yeah, it really is like such an iconic place. You know, a pub back in those days that's no longer there is kind of, there's not too many pubs that were once pubs that are no longer around still.
No.
The building is even.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean? If you had to pick one lasting memory of the pub the building even.
Yeah.
What would it be that you could just, if someone just say, what's one memory, Seamie, that you can remember from those days that stands out?
I'd say it would be, I remember there was a flag going on down in Sligo. I think it was about 7 or 8, but there was a man from Dublin, and his relations were coming down. He was living down here at the time, I think, and he had encouraged them to come into Dad's bar, just to stop in for 1 or 2 before they went on for the Fla in Sligo. But they ended up staying the 2 days in the pub, and there could have been like 20 musicians, just full on Cayley going on in the pub. Like, it was great. Yeah. Music was always a big thing in the pub.
That's right. Yeah. Moving on then, Seamie, you spent some time in Arizona.
I did, yeah.
What were you doing there?
So in August 2007, I went to Phoenix, Arizona, and I basically had my eye on a course for a while, doing motorcycle mechanics. So I thought about it for a while and had a few pounds saved up, I suppose, and just packed my bag and away I went. So that was August 2007. Yeah, I arrived in Phoenix on, I think it was like a Saturday night. I always remember 10 o'clock at night, standing outside thinking, where are the heat fans? And that was August. And it was like, could have been like 30 plus degrees.
Oh, I'd say it was more, yeah.
Probably could have been more, but that was it, like, so.
And tell us a bit about that course, Seamie. How long was it? What was involved?
So the course was 15 months in total, and you had nine classes, each consisting of precision measurements. So one class would be 3 weeks long, we'd say, and you had to get the components of an engine and basically measure them with micrometers and verniers. Then you would consult your workshop manual on the particular bike you were working on and make sure they're all within specifications. But it all went on from that on to suspension, electrical, everything you can think about the motorbike. It was done throughout the course. So that was those 9 classes, and then after that, then you pick whatever manufacturer you want to specialise in. So I went with Honda because they seem to have the better course. They covered a wide range of things like quads, dirt bikes, small button generators, and that kind of stuff, So
yeah, and you obviously liked it.
Oh, I loved it. Yeah, I met some great people over there as well,
Right.
So,
and did you find you accommodation through the course?
They found me accommodation. So actually, the first week or two I went out there, I stayed with an Irish guy. I had been in contact with one of the college reps, we'll say. She was a Scottish lady, lovely woman, and she had signed me up with this other Irish guy, and he ended up being a bit of a loose cannon. So I went back into her again. Listen, I can't handle this guy. Also, can you try and sort something else out? Because he was probably about 40-minute drive away from the college. So I wanted to get somewhere closer. So she basically paired me up with another guy. His name was Sean. Sean was from Iowa. Lovely guy. So we were only 3 miles from the college at this stage. So I had no real transport out there. So I bought myself a bicycle. So I was cycling everywhere.
In that heat?
Yeah. It's funny. Yes, cycling down the road and 40 plus degrees, and there's people just driving by looking like, what is that fella? A pale Irish guy cycling down in a footpath. Yeah.
So how many hours a week was the course? Was it intensive or was it more lax?
I know it was intensive enough. Yeah. So so Sean, fair play to him, basically helped me get a part-time job in Best Buy. It'd be American store like Curry's over here, I suppose. And I started working in the evenings, just trying to make a couple of quid for myself, just to keep myself over there, but I wasn't making enough. So he said, listen, your best bet is to take the morning class. So you had the option of morning, mid-afternoon or evening class. So morning class was from 7:30 to 12:30. And then I'd cycle home, change, and then I'd be in work for 2 o'clock. And that could be 10 to 2 till 10:30 at night. That was Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and then Saturday and Sunday.
Oh, so there was no time for scoops then?
No.
And the morning class wouldn't have suited with the scoops either?
No, there wasn't many scoops when I was over there. Now
you were there to...
It was kind of tunnel vision. I was just focused on what I wanted to do over there. So
yeah. And how did you find then? Was that your first time living away from Ireland for a period of time?
It would have been, yeah.
Right. How did you find that transition then?
I suppose you'd always hear people on about, being homesick and stuff like that. But I suppose being so busy and with the course and everything like that, and I got to know some really nice people over there as well. It was definitely a nice distraction, so you're not thinking too much about home.
Yeah.
You know.
Do you still keep in contact with any of those people that you met?
I'm still in contact with one or two guys from the course. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So I stayed with Sean. I was living with Sean for probably about 6-7 months, and then the house. I was coming towards the end of the course. Then it was 3 months away from finishing the course. The house went into foreclosure, so I had to leave the house and look for more accommodation. Go back to that woman again in the college, and she ended up getting me a house with a woman. Carol was her name. Carol would have been 62, 63 at the time. As she said herself, she's an old Harley chick.
Right.
So she was a character. Yeah. So I think I was only in the house 2 or 3 days, and she pulled out this massive gun, a handgun, and she says, "Don't worry about anyone breaking into the house, Seamus." It's like something that Dirty Harry would be proud of.
Yeah.
But
you'd be more worried about her having that gun.
Exactly, yeah. But she was a lovely woman, as well.
You stayed in New York for a few months too.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, so I came back. I came back from Phoenix, and I was back home for about 2 or 3 years, and then I said a chance go over to New York. So I was over in New York for just over 4 months.
That was about 2009ish, would it be?
2000 and probably been around 2009, yeah, something like that, yeah. Okay. So I was over there only 4 months. Like I was kind of, unfortunately, work didn't work out for me at that stage. So
yeah. What did you think of New York?
I didn't really rate New York that much, to be honest with you.
More faster pace of life compared to Arizona.
Oh, without a doubt, yeah. I mean, if you're stuck on the underground or on the tube, whatever like that, and you hit it at the wrong time, you're just sardines in a can.
Dead time. You just and then you came back home to Ireland.
Yeah.
And what's kind of was the next port of call then in 2000? So you were talking about 2009, 2010.
It would have been, yeah. So I suppose we were just coming to the tail end of the recession at that stage. Like, so there wasn't really a whole lot going on at that stage. So yeah, then I started work with a crowd down in Colooney, then down in Sligo. They were basically doing conveyor systems for companies and that kind of stuff. So I was over in Holland a few times, then fitting conveyor systems with Apple.
Right. Okay.
Then that was that, and what I go on to then after that. Then I was in Vistamed for a while. I was in Vistamed in Carrick and Shannon then for a while, for a few years over there, and now I'm working in Boyle.
All right, okay. And did you do anything with the 15-month course? Did that stand to you in some way? Has that stood to you since, or is it kind of like it's a segment of life?
Oh no, it's certainly stood to me anyway.
Yeah.
So when I came back from Phoenix that time, that was December 2008. I started work with a guy down in Sligo. That was March. That was the following year, March. So I worked a full season with him. So that would be March to September, and I was working on bikes with him. But then, unfortunately, as I said, like, it would have been around recession time, and bikes are kind of the first thing to go from a lot of people if they're stuck for money. The toys go,
Yeah, exactly. Definitely a change in country back then.
Definitely, yeah. But I'm still tipping away doing bits and pieces on bikes, yeah.
And obviously, you also play music.
Yes.
And people would know you from around the town, in the Mailarg especially. I think you've done how did you get involved in the music? Was it something you were always interested in, Seamie?
Yeah, it was something I would have been always interested. So myself again, Nick Shannon, started off playing the drums, and I bought a guitar and an amplifier off Rowan Davis. And of course, all I wanted to do was turn it up and just make noise. I hadn't a clue how to play it, but anyway, I eventually learned. And yeah, it's been a massive part of my life. All right, yeah, music.
And so, were you ever involved in like band? I know you're doing solo. Isn't it solo you do now?
Yeah.
So, were you ever involved in a band before that, or was it straight to solo? You kind of went.
I would have played with a few lads, but I suppose we would have been out in Tunney Taskin a few times, like trying to get a band thing together, but. At that stage, I was already thinking about going to New York, so I couldn't really commit to the band thing. So,
and then, what was your first gig in Boyle, or where was it that you can, if you remember?
It would have been Wins, actually. It would have been Wins, yeah. Keith and Magella had it.
Back in, and Would that have been a nervous experience now for you?
Oh, very nervous experience. Yeah, actually, sorry, before that, remember there was a gig up in the Moving Stairs when Barry had
Yes,
it.
that's right.
There was a fundraising gig for Haiti, and there was I can't remember. There could have been about 7 or 8 different acts. It would have been around October, November time of year, and I was asked to play at it, and so nervous.
And then was there many there?
The place was packed.
Right.
Place was packed. No, I played probably about 7 or 8 songs, and I was chatting to Matt Burke is a good mate. You know, he's always for the music as well. He says, "Listen, you play good, but like you're playing like 100 miles an hour. Just slow it down a bit." So that would have been
good advice.
Of course, he's always a good man for the advice with music.
I think that was around the Haiti thing. Would have been around 2010, 11.
It was, yeah,
it would have been. Yeah. And so you've been kind of doing gigs here and there. Have you kept it to pubs? Have you done any weddings, for example? Or?
I've done a friend of mine down in Sligo, down the Radisson. She asked me, she was going to have a civil ceremony. She said, "Would you ever play some music for me?" And I said, "Sound, yeah." So I'd play 2 or 3 songs, but when I was sitting down and she was just walking up like the aisle, we'll say, it just kind of hit me. It's like, "Oh my God, I'm playing a wedding." You know,
you don't get a second chance.
You don't get a second chance, right? We're here now. So anyway, it worked out perfect.
Yeah,
it was great. Yeah. So,
and is it something you enjoy? Like, if you had to do it again, would it faze you, or would you be kind of?
You know, I think it's the initial thought. It's the same. It's the same anytime I go playing. And I've said this to people before. It's the same anytime I go playing. There's always butterflies. It's always thinking. You think the biggest fight is in your head, I suppose. What am I doing here? Then I put on the guitar and 1 or 2 songs in, and I'm fine.
Yeah,
but it's just the initial thought, isn't it?
I suppose. Yeah, I would have no frame of reference, but I can only understand maybe in that butterflies are good though.
Oh, they are,
and it's kind of, it keeps you, on point.
Yeah.
And but then, as you said, you learn how to kind of handle the butterflies and the nerves and that. And,
yeah.
And if you had a song, Seamie, that you enjoy playing the most, what one would it be?
I suppose I like playing a bit of Foo Fighters, My Hero, or something like that, you know.
Yeah.
But it's funny how the taste in music's changed over the years. You know, I've Christy Moore. I love playing Christy Moore. Or
weren't you if I remember correctly, would you have been like a Metallica?
Oh, I still am. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, I always remembered that you used to love Metallica.
It would have started off as heavy metal and a lot of that kind of stuff,
and all that.
And rock, but now it's kind of progressed on to like Paul Brady and Dario Farrell and Lankum and all these other great trad groups that are around. Like trad seems to have taken a massive revival the last few years. Yeah.
Going forward, then, Seamie, you think you'll be playing for the foreseeable as well? You have no intentions now to hang up the old guitar?
No. I suppose I've got the taste for it, you know. So yes, definitely enjoyable. I definitely enjoy it, and you know, it's good crack when people are enjoying themselves, and you know, you can have a bit of banter with them and stuff like that, and it's definitely a bit of a buzz anyway. You know, when you're wrapping up whatever that you're wrapping up your equipment, and you think that was good crack.
Yeah, exactly. And moving forward then, Seamie, to present day Boyle.
Yes,
you're based in Drumshambo.
I'm in Drumshambo. Yeah.
Would you ever see the future where you move back to Boyle if the opportunity arose? Or are you quite content in Drumshambo?
I'm happy enough in Drumshambo, you know.
Yeah.
It's nice quiet town, and of
it's
course,
come on, hasn't it?
It has come on.
Like, it's a fabulous little town.
It's that the Bombay gin places, you know, the distiller up there has brought the place on big time.
It's lovely. It's a really quirky little town.
It's lovely.
Hard to get to.
Yeah. You might have to take a few back roads,
exactly,
right? Yeah.
But you know, it just shows though what an investment like the gym place can do to a little town, you know, because you have then little cafes like Jenny's Cafe is a lovely little cafe.
It's gorgeous.
They always had the swimming pool. Drumshambo always had the outdoor swimming pool, even when I was young.
Well, that's right, yeah.
They always had that.
I was in that myself last year. I brought myself and my wife Anne-Marie and our wee fella Sam. We went in, and of course when we got into the pool, then it started raining.
Yeah.
But it's to say it's heated. It's slightly heated.
Yeah. And then Seamie, so your impressions then of Boyle, modern day, 2025. It's a very different Boyle than we grew up in.
Of course, yeah.
How do you think the town, I suppose, maybe if you could bring back one thing from the 80s or 90s, one thing that you could just snap your fingers and it's brought back today, what would it be? Could be anything. It could be a person. It could be it could be an event. It could be a shop. Anything. Just interested to
bring back Christie Wins.
Yeah, that's up there for a lot of people.
Yeah.
What's your favourite memory of Christie's?
Christie's was a great shop. You know, you go in and, of course, I was big into making models and that kind of stuff. You had always the Airfix models down the back. Magazines, of course, you used to go in and get your comics and their Brendan O Dowd and all that kind of stuff. And then, of course, later on, it progressed on to getting motorbike magazines off Christie.
That's right.
He was always a good man for a bit of banter as well, you know.
He was. He's a gentleman, Christie.
A gentleman, without a doubt. Yeah.
And what then, Seamie, would you say you love most about Boyle?
People around Boyle are great. Yeah. Definitely the people around Boyle are great. They're great, and like, we're blessed to have so many places where, you know, for walks, and Forest Park is a gem to have on our doorstep as well. You know, even though I'm in Drumshambo, just a couple of minutes down the road, I'm in the Forest Park. So it's a great town, and you know, it's great people that are putting in a lot of effort trying to bring it back.
Yeah, it's trying to, as I said, it's trying to rekindle that kind of fire that's gone out. It's hard.
It is, yeah, but I think, you know, there's enough people putting in an effort there that's. I see Boyle hopefully coming back again, you know.
Wouldn't it be great, though, to see the booming days? Like, it was such a great trade town and everything.
Oh, without a doubt, yeah.
It has the potential.
It has, yeah.
It really has. And I hope to see it in our lifetime.
Exactly, yeah.
That we can see it back again on the forefront of things.
Yeah.
And you just a bit of hustle and bustle again.
It'd be lovely to see it, yeah, because, like, you know, even driving in at the weekend now, there's not many people around.
It's
on
derelict,
the
as
it
I
is,
said.
Yeah,
you know.
Unfortunately,
and that's the same with just not only Boyle, obviously, but it's across the country.
Lots of towns in the country.
The same size and demographic of Boyle would be something similar.
Yeah.
How do you see the next 10 years of your life playing out? Any major ambitions or?
I don't know. Bit of a deep one.
Yeah.
I know. I just want to keep playing music and. Yeah, I love still tinkering with motorbikes and that kind of stuff. And my wee man now, he's just turned 4 now, so he's gotten that age now where he wants to help and he wants to go places. So hopefully I can pass on some practical skills that I've learned down through the years to him as well. And he's big into the music as well, thankfully. So he's we started him in a class in Carrick and Shannon there a couple of weeks back. Traddlers is the name of it. It's like trad music for toddlers.
Oh, right, interesting.
So it's just like
Traddlers,
yeah.
Oh, very interesting, yeah. And what's that doing? It's just like introducing them to a bit of
dancing and singing and different instruments and stuff like that. Like so, but he's
planting the seed.
He's
see then if he takes it on. If he does, great. If he doesn't,
like, but he's there's plenty of instruments around our own house now, so he's no excuse, you know.
Yeah,
so,
exactly. He can test a few different things.
Exactly, yeah.
And before we wrap up, Seamie, is there anything we haven't touched on that you'd like to mention?
I don't think so. No.
Well, okay. Well, listen, it's been a pleasure. I was looking forward to this one.
Well, same as that, Carlo.
Thank you very much for coming on the Voice
Thanks
of Boyle,
yourself.
Seamie.
No problem at all. Thank you.